Now, we are influenced and developed all our belief systems from our books, from our religion, from TV, from our leaders of all levels. The blue bloods, people that have money, we have been the ones that followed. Those people who have money had parents that guided them. You look at have we been influenced to believe? Have we transformed our problems? You look at somebody like Tony Robbins, who came from poverty. You look at Charlie Sheen, his heritage came from poverty. The solution to that was to go for the wealth. They never looked at the cause of poverty. They never decided to cure the causes that created them to live in poverty. Instead, they decided to be the evil and be the wealthy guy. It's almost like you go from one problem, the solution from one problem that you're experiencing is to go to the other side and be the problem. Don't be in poverty, just be the rich guy and create poverty for all others. This concept that I've seen would be a solution. This concept that helped me get to where I am right now, I am in process. I have another stage to go through. And I think it's time now for me to go into that second stage. It will guide me all the time. I have pushed out, I have purged this information that I've had inside me. And once it's all out, there's going to be no need for me to push this information out anymore. I've shared with you what I've experienced. There's so much more, but I'm keeping it really short and simple because it is very, very short and simple. You can get lost in all of your beliefs. I can write encyclopedias full of knowledge that discounts everything you believe to be true. But at the end of the day, all you want is the million-year conversation trying to disprove your belief system. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend the rest of my life debating what you believe to be true, when ultimately it's like, how is it working for you? Look at your global experience. You can't just be thinking of your own individual life. You have to think of your world, because it's the world that you live in. If you are not a global thinker, then you are selfish. You have to be a global thinker today. Each one of us has to think of our globe and not ourselves. When you want to look at your happiness, look at the happiness of your globe. That's where you're going to find your happiness. You have to be a global thinker if you're going to survive this hell that we're in. You have to transform your problems into the solutions. The Tony Robbins, even Charlie Sheen, the winner, they came from poverty. It's generational. Instead of being in the problem, they decided to be the problem. Instead of living in poverty, they decided to be the enemy and be the wealth. And the wealth is creating the poverty. They weren't global thinkers as they tried to solve their problems. They were only individual thinkers. And how do I save myself? If saving yourself means be the enemy instead of the victim, you're destroying your world. You have to be a global thinker today. So this stage that I've helped myself with, you may disagree with everything that I have to say. I am offensive. What I've noticed that I do, which I had to understand, is when I listen to people, I listen to them tell me their problem, and I also listen to them tell me their solution. If you know a problem, you know the solution. The solution is just invisible to you. 99% of all reality is invisible to you. But for some odd reason, anytime that I've really compassionately listened to somebody else, they've also told me what their solution is, and they didn't realize it. So when I would throw their solution to them, they would think that I'm offering my advice to them, but in actual fact, I was just throwing their own words back at them. I have a daughter-in-law now who says she knows how to communicate, which has stopped all form of communication because I was suggesting she had a little talk with my daughter, and that stopped all forms of communication. She said she didn't need to be told to have a conversation, to sit down and have, a peace table and talk with some people. She told me that she didn't need that. So I said, okay, I won't tell you to talk anymore. And now she doesn't talk to anybody, yet she says she knows how to communicate with people. Non-communication is not called communication. And one thing that she does say is she judges everybody else. She says everybody can do the right thing, they just choose not to do the right thing. Yet she has the choice to do the right thing, and yet she's not doing the right thing, saying that she wants to learn her own mistakes. Doesn't everybody want to learn from their own mistakes? If that advice is good for her, wouldn't it be good for the rest of the planet? Yet she would judge and say people just choose, that they're really bad people for not choosing to do the right thing. As she's judging everybody else to do the wrong thing, she's not reflecting on herself and saying, is she doing the right thing? How's it working? Are you getting along with family? Are you communicating like you say you know how to communicate? So there's a little bit of insanity going on. And we're influenced by more things than we think we are. And that influence, you form your beliefs based on all of these influences. You watch movies, you watch film, TV. Nicolas Cage is in this really evil-looking movie called The Knowing that's predicted BP oil, predicted Japan, predicted all of these catastrophes. Seems to me I, wouldn't have partaken in such a movie. That seems to be, somebody knew that all these bad things were going to happen and then make a film that only puts out the suggestion, because the only way evil can make evil be is if you influence people to do evil things and let them have the free will to do the evil things. If you don't put that suggestion, that influence out there, nobody will do it. If nobody is influenced by these negative suggestions out there, then evil can't exist. So we have a lot of negative, evil suggestions out there. Even religion knows that a body can be possessed by evil. Spirits live. You can get rid of the body, but spirits are a hell of a lot more influential once they're dead because you don't see them. They're like human beings without the body. They have more influence over you because you can't see them. And yet they're still there. Hitler still lives on. The mindset of Hitler is still there and still has a major influence on our planet. So when I look at who knows happiness on the planet, who can influence me to be a happy person, how to love, well, I'm going to take my guide from God. What does God do? God doesn't offer advice until you ask for him, and then God only inspires at best, because I'm pretty sure God realizes he doesn't know everything. That's why we're having this human experience, to teach him more and more about love. But I think he knows more about love than we do. We can improve on it, but we can learn from his example. We can learn by Jesus' example. I don't think Jesus died so we can all be sinners, died for our sins. I think he died because of our sins. But he set the examples that he didn't die. If you live as Jesus lived, if you do not sin. I think God the Father had a better example that ask him for his influence and he'll be there with some good advice. Don't push your ideas and your concepts on other people because you could be wrong and it may cause a war. Jesus was kind of at a war. He was trying to tell people what was right and everybody wanted to disagree with him and it caused his own freaking death. Where God, you can't kill God because he's influencing you. He's the Spirit of God and you can't see him. You cannot kill God, but he still lives. He's still there. So I'm going to sort of take his direction and hopefully not make too many more videos and push my opinions on others. But start to go into the next phase of my evolution of myself, of my healing. I do need to quit this smoking, so I do need to learn more about how to love my life. The first stage was for me to purge all of this information out there and say, why do you think all of this happened? Must have had a reason, must have had a purpose. If all of this means nothing, then that means all of your lives mean nothing. All of our lives mean nothing if we can't put a piece of a puzzle together. There's no meaning to anything unless we put meaning to it. Is there a sign? Yeah. There's signs everywhere if you want to pay attention to it. So we've been influenced in a lot of different ways. And it's influencing our DNA. And if you understand what DNA is, you take two twins that have identical DNA and they live 50 years of their experience and check their DNA after 50 years, both twins will have completely different DNA. So our DNA is created by our experiences. What you think, how you act, how you react, how you interact with your influences, what you choose to believe in, creates your DNA. If you don't like your experience and you want to change your DNA, change your belief systems. Find out what the purpose of your life is. Face that bear. Transform your problems into solutions. Communicate with evil. Find out what evil wants and give it to him because you have evil inside you. Evil is something that is lacking within inside you that you need to find out. Evil wants you dead unless you do things the right way. Evil is the driving force for you to do the right thing. Evil's not so bad. It brings light into your life. Light is knowledge. The world is not what you think it is. It's dynamic. It's not round and solid. It's completely dynamic. So the next stage of my development is, now that I've purged everything, now that I've released all of the information that I've experienced, although I'm missing out an awful lot, I just choose not to have the argument. If you want to believe you are the one that's right, just see how right you are and how is it working for you. Are you happy? If your advice is right, then you should be happy. If you don't know how to be happy, then what advice are you giving to other people? Do you think you really need to change your world in order for you to be happy, or do you think that you need to be the change that changes the world? We're all 100% connected. I'll continue on another tape.